Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I, man, here from the Blockrunner MetaZone Roby and MScribe, and today we go back to Bittensor.
As we should.
As everyone should.
Yeah, should at least be looking at it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, if you got the all-in podcast guys talking about it,
Yeah.
in case you don't know who they are, who are they? It's like Chamath.
Chamath.
What's that guy's name? Stacks? Is that his name?
David Sachs.
David Sachs, who's the crypto czar currently
Yeah.
as part of the White House administration. Then there's that other guy,
Yeah.
Friedberg or Friedberg? Zordberg? I don't know. He's like the science guy.
I never remember their name.
Well, then there's Jason, right? So these guys have some providence in the markets, I guess. You know,
Well, they're big time investors, all of them.
Web 2 specifically
Web
and
2.
Web 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And their podcast is actually pretty entertaining. Like I enjoy listening to it.
yeah, so we've heard Bittensor mentioned several times, I think, in their discussions because
Chamath mainly.
Yeah, I mean, part of like the life of an investor, I guess, is to speculate on opportunity wherever it may present itself, right? Whether it's Web 2 AI,
which includes Web 3. Shockingly.
Yeah. There's a small glimmer of Web 3 viability, I guess, in the context or in the optics vision of like Web 2 investors, right?
Correct.
So that we hear that and we're like, I wonder why. Like, what's so special about Bittensor, right?
Yeah, so we talked about Bittensor about roughly 2 years ago. Man, it feels so long.
I'd say like 2.5, actually. It was like December, January of, 2022 leading into 2023.
Yeah, and it was at $60 or so. Then after our video went down to $30, and then like
the founder,
and then we interviewed the founder. Yeah. Const.
And then everything only went up from there.
That's right.
You're welcome, Bittensor community.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Just kidding. We're not those kind of guys.
No. And so now we're talking about it again just because they recently launched Subnets about 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And
we said around that time, like, in about 3 months from like the introduction of TAO, would probably be around the time we should start paying like closer attention to things, right? Because we knew like there would be like a bleed to a lot of these alpha tokens.
Yeah.
Just per like their like initial distribution curve.
Yeah.
And it's like per the design, like at day 90 or so, there's supposed to be like a little bit more of like a happier medium between like that and what is it called? The root.
Yeah, the root subnet.
Yeah. So we're at those days, right, where, within this now network of subnets, some of these might be like hidden gems, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got to understand like the infrastructure of Bittensor first, which we've got plenty of videos that kind of like talk about it, what it does as far as like utilizing Bitcoin's killer economic model.
Yeah, another one to watch too is Mark Jeffrey's breakdown on Bittensor as well. So you can find him on Twitter.
Yeah. So, I mean, the things are working. It's been a brutal market, but TAO is still like.
Yeah, still, man, it's hanging strong.
It's hanging strong in like one of the worst like market environments we've seen so far in crypto. So.
All right, so let's take a look at this. So we have TAO's second fun fact. He says Google searches for the term Bittensor are approaching their all-time high. So I feel like, I don't know,
that means something.
It definitely does, and I feel like it's correlated because of the All-In podcast.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like anything, right? It's you use these search trends to kind of gauge market awareness.
Yeah.
Right. You do that for Bitcoin. We do it for crypto. It's how you keep your finger on the pulse, right? Are people aware?
Yeah.
Right? And right now, more people are aware than than previously, which. Potentially a bullish indicator.
I wonder what the search criteria is for pumped.fun compared to Bitcoin. Just out of curiosity.
You could probably look that up, dude. You want to do it just for funsies?
Yeah, let's do it.
Remember how to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Also see pumped.fun versus Bittensor while you're at it.
Yeah. So Google Trends, we're gonna do.
In case you guys didn't know how to do this.
Bitcoin. Yeah, let's do that. And we're gonna compare Bitcoin with.
Is that all time? Or what is that?
What is this? This is a month.
Oh, no.
Or 1 day.
Ew. Let's go stretch that, dude. That time horizon.
Yeah, so this is in the past day, so we're going to do, let's say, past 12 months.
There you go.
Okay, so Bitcoin searches, yeah,
That
at
had
its
to have-
all-time high.
Yeah, that had
That's
to have been when
110.
it was breaking through 100K for the first time.
Yeah.
It caught everyone's attention, right?
So, but let's see what that looks like. 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna compare that to Bittensor.
Oh God, we're gonna see a flat line here. I'm sure. Yeah, that's what I figured. Wow.
All right, let's see if Pump Fund. Let's see if that works.
Maybe meme coins is the better search term here.
Yeah, meme coin.
Oh my God.
Oh, this is a life, dude.
Yeah. Compared to Bitcoin.
That's interesting. Okay. All right, so now we have like context as to like how prevalent the word Bittensor is in the grand scheme of things.
And how early we could potentially all be.
That's right. That's right.
That's what you want to be. That's where you want to be.
Yeah, so as we talked about it early on, $50 range, and now it's been a 10x, and it's just been steady, right? And this uptick recently, and so this is TAO stats. This is definitely the website you want to be to see all the subnets. Here are the subnets, over about 100 now, exactly 100.
Mm-hmm.
And it started with 60, right?
64, I think.
Oh, yeah, it was 64. Chutes, that's right.
Yeah, and underneath there, you could see the subnet rankings essentially by emission percentages. Scroll down.
Yeah,
Right
here
there
we
on
are.
the left.
Yeah, so subnets, Chutes is number 1.
So this is literally,
14%.
which of the subnets people are like delegating their TAO to essentially, which
Mhm.
all that means is like it's a benchmark of like market confidence, right? For what it is these subnets are up to.
Yeah, and Rayon Labs owns Chutes, Targon, and Gradients, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, congrats to those guys.
We're gonna talk about them here pretty soon.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So Dread Bongo, this is definitely a guy you follow if you want like the latest in Bittensor stuff. He says Bittensor has officially crossed 100 subnets, powerful milestone, but this is the first chapter in a bigger story. So, yeah, basically a bunch of Greek letters up to 100.
I think they ran out of Greek letters actually. I think
Yeah,
now they're on to like Arabic or
Oh,
something.
that's true. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So this is the expansionary, I guess, acceleration we were kind of hoping for, right? So
Mhm.
not all of these new subnets are like actually doing things, I don't think. But again, this is kind of the point to be paying attention because, there could be new entrants into the ecosystem now that there's a lot of awareness spreading,
Mhm.
right? And people are becoming clued in to like these incentive models. So
Yeah.
you never know, right? I mean, clearly there's some pretty powerful infrastructure players already in place, like Chutes and Gradients and
Yeah.
Targon, but that can't be the end of the story, right? Like, people have to come in and start developing good apps.
Yeah,
and stuff
absolutely.
around this stuff.
No, it's definitely not the end of the story.
Mhm.
All right, so let's continue here. Dread Bongo again. Tom Lee's Fundstrat just dropped an investor deck touting Bittensor. Fundstrat mirrors Barry Silbert's thoughts on Bittensor is quickly becoming the internet of AI. So he says TAO offers investors a unique opportunity to gain diversified exposure to open source AI development through a single asset. With built-in demand drivers, exposure to nascent subnet projects, and alignment with a long-term vision of creating a permissionless, credibly neutral AI network. So looks like the institutions are waking up to Bittensor. Yeah, so anytime we have notable people talking about a subject, I mean, you got to pay attention. You can't ignore it.
Yeah, that bottom right panel there is kind of interesting. The comparable, like, valuation of Bittensor versus these, mainstream AI entities, right?
Yeah, so here's the companies. So we got Perplexity, CoreWeave, XAI, Anthropic, OpenAI. We got their fundings. We got the valuations. $300 billion for OpenAI,
Undervalued, right?
and then we got TAO.
Where's TAO at? I mean, roughly
it-
FDV $4.5 billion. It says.
Yeah,
at $200. So
That's
they
true.
did this report. Literally, the price has doubled basically since then. So
Yeah.
they're getting closer to surpassing. What is the first one? Mistral AI. So that's pretty bullish if we can get like a
Oh.
Web3 AI.
Yeah, it's definitely surpassed that because if you go back
it did.
to, it's 368.
All right, that's cool. So we got a Web3 AI thing
Yeah.
eclipsing a Web2 AI thing, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Next target, Perplexity. So yeah, you have the price targets here up to 14,000 just to meet
Hmm.
OpenAI, which
That's pretty fucking optimistic. I mean, it's
very
not impossible this cycle, but
yeah.
it just depends on how much. Again, well, it's a question, right? Because it has like the cult-like religion ethos around it, to where maybe it doesn't necessarily need so much like provable like application value this
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah.
Maybe just for the token itself, the fact that it's like first mover advantage in this sector of DAI is enough to drive the valuation, like where it's mirroring these competitors, right?
Yeah, but this cycle, like that's definitely optimistic.
Yeah, I would say so too.
I think within range is like 1,000 to 2,000. Like that's perfectly within range.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Three-
2 to 4.
2 to 4?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's within range too. But I think
I agree.
there will be other entrants besides just Bittensor, like competing for mindshare here, right? But that is kind of like one of the expectations we have for this cycle is have not just Bittensor on this list, right? Of like
Yeah, correct.
AI
Web3 AIs, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Rayon Labs wanted a comparison. You've got it. TLDR gradients is cheaper and better. So that's one of the subnets within Bittensor. And it says some come close to the performance of Google Vertex, but at high cost per hour. Some come close to the cost of Together AI, but not even close to the performance. V3 is out. Gradients, and here's the chart that they're referencing.
So help us understand, dude.
So we got AWS,
yeah.
Google, Together AI, and Gradients, which is their subnet. And we're looking at performance improvement per cost per hour.
I see. So if you're a developer, right, this is what matters to you, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Right. So you want obviously really good performance for your AI, for your product, but you can't pay through the nose for that good performance.
Why? Because that means like you don't have a viable business model.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that means like you might have a cool app, but
It's
gonna
just too
cost
expensive.
like hundreds of dollars a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like nobody's gonna be able to afford that. So
Yeah. Or it's not hundreds of dollars a month, but you get only a few credits for $20 a month, and then it's like you can't really use it.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, if these are true, I mean, these are some massive
Yeah.
infrastructure providers. I mean, the biggest.
Yeah.
And it's outdoing them at pretty significant margins here. So I don't know why more people aren't talking about that.
Yeah, they're not talking about it. I mean,
Maybe.
this is something that DeepSeek did. The whole planet was talking about DeepSeek, but they're performing at a similar sort of like shock factor to DeepSeek.
Yeah, I would think so. It's not something that's blatantly obvious, I guess, to the non-AI developer, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
You know, this isn't, to us crypto degens, this isn't like a metric of value that we understand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, this chain has like 1 billion plus TVL. It's like something we all
True.
know to
Pay
respect.
attention to.
Yeah. That's like a signal, right? But
Yeah.
these are new metrics, new benchmarks. Most of us don't really understand like the impact of it yet. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, moving on. Tau Templar. It's only just recently hit me how performant Chutes and Targon are. So Chutes and Targon are also part of Rayon Labs. And together they are providing an inference for nearly half the Open Router AI DeepSeek traffic, amazing uptime and throughput, and the only free inference.
Yeah, free.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, it makes sense because if they're providing a service for free, they have to pay the bills somehow, and they pay the bills because if you go back to Tau Stats and you look at Chutes, it's getting 14% of the emissions of Bittensor.
Yeah, and I
so
think
that's paying the bills.
yeah, and around these prices, it's roughly like $1 billion a year in value being emitted.
$1 billion a year, yeah.
So do that calculation, right? It's north of 100 million a year,
140 million.
and like in subnet subsidization for all this performance, right? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's see. We talked about this. Rayon Labs public beta announcement. Squad public beta is now live. Man, this is another thing, dude. Squad from Rayon Labs. The E2E platform is an end-to-end platform for AI agents. Design the agent of your dreams with no code required. Now available on squad.ai. Powered by Chutes. Integrated with other subnets, including Subnet 56 and 19. And this is pretty cool, right? So I'm going to leave all the links in the description, but go through this thread. It's basically using a node-based kind of interface to kind of string together functionality for your AI. And as you can see, it's like very inexpensive to use.
Because of the underlying infrastructure.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's utilizing what it's touting as like its major advantage versus like Google and AWS.
Yeah. So they're creating products off of their own infrastructure.
Yeah, which is what you're supposed to do, right?
That's what you want to see. Yeah.
So you want to see a lot of people starting to use this product as like, oh, okay. Then like that's the signal, right? The market might understand the value at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's again, the question mark is it going to be like a Web 2 awareness peak or a Web 3, right? So if it's Web 2, yeah, it's more like a deep seek moment, right? Where like people nerd out over the like efficiencies.
Yeah.
If it's Web 3, it's like, all right, where's your like virtuals competitor platform, right?
It's true.
That's kind of like the question mark here. We're still kind of like waiting on to see. At least I am, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you got to put in your Web3 lens on, and if you're not speaking the same language,
right,
you're not going to get the attention that you
at least
want.
not from the degens. Now there are other demographics of like Web3 interests out there. Maybe they don't want to see like
maybe
like a
not.
degeneracy design around all this tech infrastructure. It's more like show me real users, right?
Real Web3 like
or Web 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Web 2 users using your platforms, not even knowing there's like a Web 3 like infra supporting it, right?
That's how it should be.
You think so?
100%.
That would be pretty killer.
Yeah.
Right? There's like millions of users on this thing.
If there's an AGI created, you want it to be decentralized, right? And no like single ownership, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
so they're on their way.
Oh, they're on their way, yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, so here's how Squad AI Chutes new AI agent platform is changing the game for AI agents. So another explanation thread on like what Squad AI is. Versal for AI agents. So Versal is a development platform for developers.
Mm-hmm.
Figma for AI agents. I think most of you would know what that would be. It's just kind of like a design methodology, right? A design interface for just like web design. But this is like you're designing your agent.
And you don't need to be a like coder.
Developer. Correct. You don't.
Okay, well, this is something we should all start tinkering with, right?
Yeah.
Just to like really experience it for ourselves.
Yeah, Squad is a chat GPT for AI agents. So create your own operator or Manus AI type agent and interact with it instantly. So you create your own agent, your own like interface, like a chat GPT interface.
Right.
And custom functionality. So go even further with custom tools, complexity, extensibility with custom Python code. So if you are a developer, you can make it even more specifically functional.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm impressed. All right, so we have successfully mined the first Bitcoin sats on Bittensor with TaoHASH.
Yeah.
So I find this statement just a little weird just because you mine Bitcoin today, not necessarily sats. Sats is like a subdivision of Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's just maybe it's like SEO purposes or something. Who knows?
Maybe.
But nonetheless, it's a subnet of Bittensor that didn't originate, I don't think, as like this was the purpose of it. I think these guys acquired
correct
a subnet to like, what do you understand is what's happening there? Like if they're now mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, I don't know. What does that mean?
What is the value add of being a subnet add to the competitiveness that we understand being like a Bitcoin miner?
I don't know. Maybe
you're added incentives, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Meaning like TAO. Now it's like the ecosystem of Bittensor is like aligned, I guess, in a sense with Bitcoin.
Hell
I mean,
yeah.
not just at the tokenomics level, right? It's literally like a copy and paste.
Sure.
But now even like, hey, part of the network is like helping, sustain the network of Bitcoin.
Yeah, and it could be part of the training for an LLM, and you could talk to an AI about Bitcoin and see what's happening.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, maybe some DMT stuff.
Yeah, maybe some subnets can be like specifically trained to iterate new improvements to like mining efficiencies.
Yeah, For sure.
So they could produce like more competitive like ASICs and shit.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, AI for sure will be able to outdesign human engineers, right?
Yeah, it's a matter of time.
No brainer. Yeah. So
so this is what you were talking about. So as of today, Kaito, we are officially transferred ownership of our Bittensor Subnet 5, which is called Open Kaito, to Latent Holdings. So we began our Bittensor journey in March 2024 as one of the early subnets and have actively contributed to the ecosystem over the past 14 months. As Kaito has grown, our focus has shifted towards scaling our InfoFi network, and we see huge potential in unlocking monetization opportunities for the masses. We've long admired Latent Holdings' vision and commitment to the Bittensor ecosystem through our collaboration and TAO.app. So it's pretty interesting. And I guess the main motivation to do this is because Kaito had already stakers, right? TAO stakers on their subnet. And so Latent Holdings were like, I'll take that.
So you need like the good graces from whoever's passing the torch, right, to the subnet acquirer.
Yeah.
So you don't lose your stakers, right? But yeah, the advantage is you don't have to start all over.
Yeah,
right?
correct. Yeah.
That's interesting. It's an interesting little dynamic. I didn't assume it's going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
You could just transfer ownership. I mean, it's just
makes sense.
Private keys, I guess.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. I mean, Kaito is a big, app in the space, social app, SocialFi app. So, but yeah, like I guess this means they're no longer like dependent or associated, at least at like a technical level.
Yeah, within the network.
So it's more like they're gonna stand up their own infra for their own product. I don't know.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, so there's things happening, right? There's a lot of bullish social metrics around Bittensor. Subnets, I mean, it's advancing. It was one of the question marks we had 3 months ago, right? It's like, hopefully, like once this detail thing rolls out, it's just like nobody's interested, right? Or hopefully somebody's interested to continue to launch new subnets, right? Because it would be pretty sad.
I mean, it's pretty lucrative. I mean, if you're a subnet,
true.
I mean, you're trying to attract a piece of the billion per year emissions.
Yeah, I mean, game theory checks out, right? We've seen this play out for Bitcoin already.
Yeah,
it worked, right? Per the economic design and the incentives, like it over time, it attracted better and better and better like miners.
Incentives run everything.
Yeah, so the thesis was, let's see how this simulation runs in the AI context, right? So, this is like day one activities, like Chutes and Rayon Labs is crushing everybody, it seems.
Yeah.
But a year from now, they might get dominated by somebody else. Some like OpenAI cabal just shows up and like, dude, let me show you how it's done. Yeah. Step aside, kids. It's like, we'll take over from here.
Yeah.
Right? You never know.
All right.
That's why you got to pay attention.
Yeah, well, that's it for us. We talked about Bittensor. If you have any questions around the Bittensor network, definitely leave a comment below. And if you found anything within the AI space that you want us to talk about, please also post it. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.